Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to do an art and junk journaling video today where I show you what to do when you feel stuck, you want to play in your journal, you want to have fun, relax, but you have no idea what to do. And I don't know, the mood just isn't striking you. So this is a simple trick to make art journaling 1,000 times easier. First, I am laying out a bunch of acrylic paint. This is just Craft Smart acrylic paint from Michael's. And I'm putting out my art junk journal, and I am gluing down the tips of the paper from what did not stick last time from our Joann's glue stick. So, boo Joanne. And now we are testing today, for a little while at least, the one that I just showed you that has the dual tip. I'm taking my handy dandy card and I'm just spreading paint. I didn't pay any attention. I just picked colors that I liked, Just don't overthink it. That's the main thing. That's the biggest tip. Don't overthink it. Just slap stuff in. Seriously. I think the biggest thing you can do is just do it. Because when you start to think about it and, oh, is this going to look pretty? Am I going to like this? It's when you just get paralyzed. Have a bunch of pre-torn sheets of baking paper, like wax paper, torn, and then you can put them in between your sheets so that you can keep going while they are still wet and they don't stick to each other. Those are Dylusions Ink Sprays, and I really like them. They're really cool. They're really neat when you can mix them with water and let them run around on paper, especially like watercolor paper. They look really pretty. But they still look neat just on that kind of paper, I think. They are a little bit wet, and this is thin paper. This brown paper is thin, so you can see how it kind of soaked through to the other side, but I don't care. I'm just slapping down more paint. Now, when you go to art journal, it's really hard to start staring at a blank page and not know at all what you want to do. That thing that I just sprayed was a Dylusions Mica spray, and they look clear when you spray them. When they dry, they're kind of shimmery. More paint, and so when you've got a little base in your journal, whether to write over or to glue pictures down, to make tip-ins, it just frees your brain up a little bit. It's not so stressful. You're not starting from a blank slate. So I think that's how you can make journaling for yourself a ton easier. That's a sticker that I just stuck in, I don't know, a long time ago. And as you can see, I'm playing. We had like 15 minutes before, well, not 15 minutes, probably half an hour before the kids were going to get ready for bed. And so I just snuck up to my lair, that's what I call it, my art lair. And I just wanted to play a little bit. Hold on, one of them's calling me. And I'm back. All right, so you can see we're just still slapping in paint. Can't remember where I left off, but I think the gist of it was you don't have to have a lot of time. It's almost better if you don't, because then you're just in a hurry and you're not thinking about it. That's the key. That is just a journaling card from, I don't remember. It might be Tim Holtz. But I just did a tip-in long time ago when I was telling you guys how to make tip-ins. I can link that video below or above or somewhere. I don't know. That's kind of YouTube-y. One of those YouTube-y things. This is a Tim Holtz Distress Stain. I think it's in the old paper color. It's fluid dye for papers and porous surfaces. I don't know how to use it really, but I think it looks better on papers that look kind of like brown and vintagey. So I just slapped it on there. And that's the cool thing, is if you don't like it, you just put something over it. Put more paint. Put another layer of something else. Because that just makes your journals look better. The more crap you put on them, and paint and stencils and stamps, journaling that you hide in there, the more interesting they are to look at. I mean, things that are perfect are pretty for a couple seconds. That's great. But then if it's messy and there's stuff hidden in there and there's layers, you get to look at it and really explore what's in there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a beautiful planned out journal spread when I'm in the mood. But it's just fun to play sometimes. This is a Brea Reese heavy body acrylic paint writer. I think I picked these up at Hobby Lobby in a bin for like 25 cents a piece or something. So I'm just doing some, I don't know, random designs. There's a purple one and an orange one. I don't worry about the colors because I just don't worry about it. It'll fit in with whatever at some point. This book that I picked out from Michael's is it's kind of like an album, and so every like set of like 5 kind of pages there's photo papers, and sometimes I stick photos in them, but right now I'm just going through my bin of ephemera and things that I've torn out of magazines that I like, and I'm just sticking them in pockets. Doesn't mean they're going to stay there, but it probably does mean that the next time I sit down at my journal, I'll see something and it'll strike me, because it always does. That's how it happens. In the moment, it might not mean anything to you, but when you come and sit back down a couple days from now, you can be like, oh my God, that applies perfectly to something I thought today or something that happened today. And then, you know, you can go from there. It just inspires you to do something. That tiger I just thought was really cool. And these are just fortune cookie fortunes that we had when we had Chinese food a while ago. And so I'm just gluing them on the tiger. No rhyme or reason. Didn't plan that. Don't have a reason. And then I'm just tearing out images that I like. It doesn't even have to, you know, be anything. It can just be something that you like the look of it. Those birds I thought were really pretty. I want to get a tattoo with like the silhouette of kind of like geese in it, because my children, I've always called them goosies and geesies and goosels. And so they're my 2 little gooses. And so, I don't know, it just struck me as something that I've kind of always liked. And that image is from a Real Simple magazine on the bridge, and I just really liked it. I love the pictures from Real Simples, so I stuck it in the pocket. And like I said, it's not permanent. It doesn't have to stay there. I'm just rifling through my stuff. I kept this in because I wanted you to see the kind of stuff that I keep in my bins, that I just throw in there. It's totally random. Scraps of scrapbook paper. These little cards were from an ephemera pack from the store Tuesday morning. You have to be careful with that place because you get excited because the scrapbook paper seems cheap, but then when you think about it, if there's a good coupon at Michael's and Joann's, it's not that cheap, so don't let them screw you. Still picking out things. If you've never tried this before, I would suggest buying a magazine that you really like, and then reading it, enjoying it, and then ripping it up. Go through it and rip out all of the images, the words, the things that you like, that, you know, kind of just strike a chord with you, and put them in a little bin, and that's how you start. That's how I start. Like those words, how to ask for silence, that just struck me at some point, and that little sunbathing beauty was from a Real Simple, and that dinosaur I just love, because that's what I feel like my life is, like me trying to relax and think about how I can ask to relax, and then a giant dinosaur coming and like stomping the shit out of me. That's how it feels every day. And then this bow tie noodle box was just from a chicken pesto pasta dinner that I made, and I tore the top off the box, mostly because it had that clear window, and I love stuff with clear windows, like envelopes, bills with clear windows and stuff. They're fun to throw in your junk journal because it just adds another layer, and you can put fun stuff behind the little clear window. And you know how I like to document that I've cooked something, just so in my yonder years, I can say, hey, I did something. I cooked for you. I was not useless. This is new with that new Recollections washi set that I got from Michael's that was seemed sort of patriotic, but not annoyingly patriotic, and like kitschy. It was just kind of pretty colors. This is more of that old paper distress stain. You can tell I don't know what I'm doing with it, and it doesn't look as nice on white paper, but I don't care. I stamped on that page earlier, a long time ago, and I'm just adding to it. It's just layers and layers and layers. Sticking in another piece of washi because it looked kind of like a 70s, looked kind of 70s pattern to me, like something you'd find on bell bottoms. I don't know. And then I've got some still paint that's still a little bit wet, so I'm just slapping that in the journal. And I promise you, while it seems crazy, like all of this will fit at some point. Just give it time, and it will become like this page was meant to look this way and to house the things that it has on it. It's weird how it works out. It really is. More Dylusions Mica sprays and paint. Now, if you have a lot of time, it's fun to do this in layers, like go through and put paint on all your pages or sprays, and then when that's dry, go through and stencil on them or stamp on them, and then add collage elements. They call that, Shannon Green is another YouTuber, and she came up with that concept. It's called journaling by fives. And I love it. This is a mixed media color spray acrylic paint. The sprayer was clogged, so I just took off the top and flung it down. And then spread it around because I knew it was going to get all messed up anyways. And then I just added some paint. And I kind of went a little crazy here. I do like putting paint down with my fingers because it's just a different look, a different element. So that's what I did. I just smeared that pink paint around, and it'll become a really cool background for journaling or for stenciling or, anything. And then a little dose of Dylusions sprays. So the journaling by fives, check out Shannon Green. It was a big thing that went around on YouTube. And it was really fun. And I can show you the journal that I made that was my journaling by fives journal. But it's basically just doing things quickly like that, throwing down paint and then stamp and then stencil and then collage. And then you end up with this really cool book in the end that you can do whatever you want with, but it's just really neat. This is from a little book that came from a Flow magazine. If you like images like I do, go buy a Flow magazine. They're like $24 maybe. I mean, they're not cheap, but the articles are amazing, the pictures are beautiful, and I usually end up using every last scrap of them in my journals somehow. They usually have things you can tear out and use, and they're for creative, art-loving people, journalers, stuff like that. And you will love it. If you've never checked out one, go to Barnes & Noble and look for Flow magazine. I think it's Swedish. How come everything cool is like Swedish? I don't know. And I just found the last fortune from our 4 fortunes and glued it on there. And then I think I'm nearing the end. I think my kids were ready to come up to bed, but I just loved all these images. And some of these were like, this was supposed to be a little booklet that you tore out, and it was supposed to be kind of like journaling prompts. So I took out some of those, and I stuck them in there, and maybe I'll do what the journal prompt says. Maybe I'll just use them for my own random journaling, but at any rate, I thought they would be a fun inspiration at some point.
Hi.
Thanks, Addie. So that is just a pretty image that I liked, cactus. Sticking those in there. Like I said, no rhyme or reason, just putting it in there and seeing where we go with it. The flow illustrations are beautiful, and they actually have books every quarter or twice a year that are just full of their own scrapbook paper. So they are quite expensive, I think, but beautiful. So something to look at. They also carry those at Barnes & Noble. I'm just pulling in more of those cards. Now, this Flow magazine was old, but I knew that I would like to use those at some point, so I just kept them. I kept them in my little pile of junk. And I'm turning that bird one into a little tip-in.
Bird.
And we're back. I had to redirect the parrot in the background, my favorite 6-year-old, to another activity briefly while I finish this. So I stuck in the bird with washi tape, and I'm just wrapping it around. You guys, I cannot even tell you that there is not a thought in my head when I do this. There really is not. It's like the most cathartic, like therapeutic. Just empty your brain and throw shit in the notebook. And it just feels so good. This is a water pen from, what brand is this? It's a Brea Reese water pen. A bunch of brands sell them, and they're really handy to use with your watercolors because you don't have to go hunt down a cup of water. You've got water at your fingertips. And this isn't watercolor paper, so it doesn't behave like watercolor kind of should, but it still looks pretty. And then I'm using some more distress stains on this envelope. Those dry kind of immediately, so that's sort of nice. And then I think I had one more card. They say cool things like, where's your favorite place to watch the evening sun go down, and draw a picture of your favorite cup of coffee, and just random stuff like that. So I liked it. I'm just gluing them in there, just scraps, gluing them in. And I'm still using that Scotch glue stick, double-ended glue stick thing. And you can see I switched back to the Elmer's, because when you're trying to glue things flat, you just want like a glue stick. And I should have used the other end, but I didn't have time to prime it and get it going. So those were the scraps from the cactus that I cut out. Don't throw away your scraps, keep them. And then I just figured out that they looked really cool glued on this envelope, all like torn up. I liked that. This is some sort of like design paint thing that I did a long time ago, and I'm just making a tip-in that I'm sure in a few weeks will become something else. Perfection is not the answer here. Like I've said it before and I'll say it again. Art journaling is not about the end process. You're not creating a masterpiece, Michelangelo. It's for yourself. And you'll look back on it and maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but it'll make you feel something. How you felt when you did it. It'll remind you of a time. It'll, just house pieces of your life, which is so cool. It doesn't all have to be sunshine and roses, because that's not life. So, tangent alert. More paint, and then one more little piece of paper. I can't read what that one says. There's one that says, like, draw your favorite pair of shoes and stuff like that. Like I said, I might listen to the cards, I might not, but I'm just about done, guys. I'm throwing in this card, and then it was time to put my kids to bed, and that was my half an hour of playing done. And now I've got all these pages in my art journal that won't scare the shit out of me when I look at them, because they're not just a blank page staring at me. So if you're got a creative block, just get in there, slap stuff down, don't think about it, have fun, and that will be cathartic in itself, but next time it'll be even easier to start. Thanks, guys.